So, Shonali, you just got back from Landor and you put up a few photographs. They look absolutely lovely. But I noticed you wrote that you took your reel off from a couple of years ago because you're worried about what over tourism has done to Landor.
So, Kiran, my reel had some 21,000 views.
Okay.
And that's substantial. I was in Landor this time with my mum, and I usually do go to Landor around this time of the year because it's a hill station. I love old hill stations. It's sort of still colonial and very quiet because it's a military cantonment. And because it's a cantonment, it comes under the military cantonment board. You can't do any new development there because Mussoorie has been trashed. But it was horrifying to see what's happened. There are tourists everywhere. There are traffic jams. Everybody keeps saying, do you know where is Landor Bakehouse? Which was one of the things in my reel. When I'd gone to Landor with my whole family in early 2020, just before the pandemic, first week of March, last week of Feb, around that time. So that's spring season, which apparently now goes full. But at that time, there were very few people there. It was quiet. It was charming. It was quaint. Now there's honking, traffic jams. Locals are so unhappy. There's dust everywhere, toxic fumes, and air quality is poor. And this is a hill station where construction is not allowed.
And air quality is poor at a hill station where construction is not
That's
allowed.
what I'm
That's
saying.
important to
Yeah,
know.
and there are air conditioners there now. So Landor is higher at a greater height than Mussoorie. And Mussoorie, has been concretized the way Nainital has been
Nainital has
concretized.
been.
So I was speaking to a local. I went to a little tuck shop there to buy some Pahadi rice and Pahadi rajma and all. And I got chatting with him, and he said that it's hell right now, and their children who have to go down from Landor and go to school in Mussoorie. He said they have to leave so much sooner now because they get stuck in traffic jams throughout the year. This continues throughout the year. And he said it's all because of Instagram reels.
Oh, God.
If they travel articles, people don't read so much.
See,
But people are coming, making reels, posting reels, telling people the top 5 things to do in Landor, and then people are going there. So when I realized what over tourism and over promotion of a place of the size of Landor is doing to it, I took my reel down. And I realized that it's not that it's only happened because of me, but people like us who travel and publicize places need to now do it a little sensibly.
and cut down. I saw because you spoke about reels and you've taken your reel down. I saw an interesting reel which said, "This is Santorini. Don't believe the other travel reels you see." Lugging a suitcase up many stairs.
Yeah.
Crowded, like jam-packed, those narrow stairways because everyone is fighting to get a glimpse of those blue domes.
Yeah.
And it's like, the line to enter some prominent temple in India, it was that packed.
Yeah. Tirupati temple. yeah.
Tirupati or something like that. And donkey poo everywhere.
Yeah, because they use donkeys to carry your luggage up and down.
So I think these reels are doing more of a service than the other reels which go up saying that...
I've decided that. I wrote that in my post, that from now you will only get an honest review of a place from me. It doesn't have to be picture perfect. I remember in Santorini, I guess I'd seen one of those, maybe perhaps not reels, but a photo dump or something, because I went there in 2018, I think. And the food was god awful in most places. There were no seats available at most restaurants. Over tourism, right?
Yeah.
It was overpriced. We stayed in one of the cave houses, and no one tells you that you have to constantly keep climbing steps up and down. So it's true.
It's true, and you have to. And what you mentioned about the residents and the locals, so many places which have been affected by this over tourism. I think the worst affected are
Venice.
the locals.
Of course.
Look at places like Spain, where the locals of some places have some very popular tourist haunts are being pushed out because
Barcelona
because of the
Airbnb.
And rents are unaffordable.
Correct.
They can't stay. For them, it's more. Even every little place, even shops are being turned into residences, like for Airbnb. In Japan, there's a district, I'm sure you know about it, where the geishas are.
Yeah, I've been. Gion in Kyoto.
And they were having a trouble because everybody was stopping and clicking them without consent.
I'm guilty of that.
You're guilty of that.
20 years ago, in 2012 is when I first went to Japan. And it's written clearly over there, don't chase geishas for a photo. And I couldn't resist it.
And you did
So
it.
yeah, so I'm saying I've been that traveler, but okay, I wouldn't harrow somebody. They were passing by they were in they were walking very quickly on the little
Platforms,
gettas.
yeah,
They're called gettas. They
gettas.
were walking towards their clients, and I was like, "Do you mind if you take a picture?" And then I took a picture with them. But I see what you mean. So I've misbehaved a bit myself. But the thing is, uh, it isn't just social media which is to blame. I think it first started with cheap flights.
Okay.
EasyJet, and in India we have so many. Indigo flying wasn't so affordable to everybody before, and in Europe, of course, they get major subsidies on air fuel. Okay, that's why EasyJet and all can afford to charge the prices that they do, and after that, people could now access any part of the planet on the cheap. So that's how the travel boom happened. And through that, then Airbnb came. So it's progressively gone from bad to worse. And that's what, locals in these places, you'll see these quotes written, your holiday is our home.
Absolutely. We
Right.
can see the mess that has happened in Goa.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go to Goa during the New
You went there
Year's,
recently, no? Yeah,
Yeah.
tell me. I haven't been there in 2 years.
so Goa is like a favorite haunt for my husband.
We know.
Yeah, like he could live there all year round. But this time when you went there during the New Year's, a trip from the hotel, which was Fort Aguada, to Baga, took us over an hour and a half.
But they're right next to each
They are
other.
right next to each other, but the traffic was so much and the crowds were so much. It was like bumper to bumper crawling traffic. And this is not the way you want to spend a holiday.
Yeah. And God forbid if you're in an ambulance.
There's no space for the ambulance to go anyway because the roads are so narrow.
Yeah.
The crowds are so much. And I mean, I'm sorry, the vibe at the shacks was lovely earlier. You could just sit at the shack, have
Yeah.
a nice sundowner, watch the sun go down. It was lovely. Now, one shack will be playing Bhojpuri music at full bang,
No way.
and the other shack will be playing Garba, and people will be dancing Garba in
Oh
the
my
shacks.
God. Yeah.
So, okay, I'm saying that, okay, the vibe is gone off, the crowds are there, insane crowds in Nainital again last month.
Yeah.
The Mall Road, which is the only sole attraction that that place
I
has.
haven't been to Nainital. It's
No.
like Mussoorie then,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think
Is it at the same height?
almost the same height, I would guess. That was like knee deep in people in the evening. They shut the road for cars, so it's a purely pedestrian road. But even that was packed cheek to jowl. And it was like, Moses parting the Red Sea if you had to go through.
But Kiran, in most places, like in Mussoorie, we used to live in Mussoorie years ago, for about 2.5 years. It was quite popular in the summer, even then. I think now the problem is, and their mall road doesn't allow in the peak season for non-residents to bring their cars in.
Yeah.
Only
Okay.
so tourist cars can't enter. But even so, there's just the traffics today are uncontainable. And now forget the Mussoorie or Landor. The foothills, the very foothills, like from where the
You
incline
climb
starts, they've made resorts there now. Those forests are gone.
Oh, Lord.
And all this has happened with the blessings of somebody. Otherwise, they would have been raised to the ground.
A lot of blessings going around.
A lot of blessings going around.
Yeah.
Destroying the bloody planet.
Yeah. And
So-
it's not just here, it's
But let me
everywhere.
point out, you told me the other day that you also went to Kenchi Dham. And so I remember that a few years ago, Virat Kohli and Anushka went to Kenchi and posted a picture from there. And I remember feeling upset even then,
Uh-huh.
thinking that, that's where Nimkaroli Baba used to live. He never said, come here and mano mannats. Okay?
He's
It's
not a
one of
mannat
those-
person.
It's not a mannat. He's not a mannat person. It's not a mannat place. And again, these are very fragile hills, right? All the Himalayan range in India, as you know. And then I sort of feared for that place. And then you told me that you've been there before, and now can you compare the
Yeah,
crowds?
I went there when my son was, I think, 5 or 6, which was maybe 15 years ago. And I went there again last month. The difference is astounding. At that point, there was hardly anybody there. We went aram se. There was no crowd. We went down the stairs. We hung around for a while. We spent time. This time it was like, go, go, go. Get in the line. Stand in the line. Move, move, move.
And were people taking selfies with the temple?
People were taking selfies
There
of
you
the
go.
temple. Everybody was taking selfies and blocking. You couldn't take the phone out when you were inside the premises. So on the steps, everybody was standing and taking selfies.
with a temple. This is so weird. You know, it's like years ago when
I was guilty of that. I took a selfie too.
Okay, no,
but
you
I took
sent
it
to
very
me.
fast.
And you sent it to
just
me
to show
because
you.
I wanted to. No, the thing is, nothing has been spared, right? And so, what is the way forward? Is what I want to ask you. Venice, people in Venice are so unhappy. What a gorgeous place! Look what's happened to it. Cruise liners come. Have you seen the size of those cruise liners?
And the cruise passengers, the entire shipload of passengers will descend on the place in a single day, overwhelm it,
Yeah.
do nothing much for the economy. I'm
Yeah.
not sure in one day how much you can do.
A lot of these people take pictures and go back. So it's not necessarily that they're contributing to the economy. Yeah. Like Landor people were all driving up from hotels in, say, Missouri or around there. They had come for the day trip. And they sometimes bring their own food. Or they'll buy something from the cafe. The roads were littered. And so Victor Banerjee lives there.
Yeah.
He has a very beautiful home on the little bend of a road that goes all the way up to a point called Lal Tibba. And there were people sitting outside taking photos of his home.
That's so
And
intrusive.
Ganesh Saili lives there.
There.
So that local gentleman told me that they don't want to go for their walks these days. They don't want to step outside of their homes. Imagine encroaching. I mean, this is trespassing of the worst kind.
I can only imagine poor Mr. Ruskin Bond, what his life must be
Okay,
like
he has become, he's the poster boy
of Landor.
of Landor. People who are not interested in reading go and ask for selfies with him because he's a
He's a living
celebrity.
legend, yeah.
He's a legend, right? So this is the nature of tourism today. I think that even until 5-10 years ago, the tourist was genuinely interested in art, culture, and history of the place. Now the tourist is only interested in ticking the box. Duomo scene, Uffizi scene. Tick, 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 take selfies, post, and get on with their life. They're not really curious about a place.
They're not curious. And of course, we spoke about Barcelona and displacement of the residents. What some people have done, which I find interesting, and you said, what can we do about it?
Yeah.
The island of Boracay in the Philippines was closed to visitors for 6 months so that the island could be rehabilitated from the damage done by tourism. Okay. Now, of course, they've enforced no photographs in Vietnam. We've all seen those visuals of that train track and that street which has a train running through it and the cafes and the vendors on the side.
Yeah.
That has now been shut down to public because of the hazard and the overcrowding and the tourists.
I think no tourist vehicles should be allowed, at least in these small hill towns of the
small
country.
towns, yeah.
Or small towns. Leave your vehicles outside, like in Zermatt. And a lot of other Swiss and Austrian towns. They have this little, like we have a mall road, they have a tiny
Mall road.
There's a tiny strip, and you have to leave a vehicle outside and either walk or go on, those horse carriages or go on EVMs. They have electric vehicles with local licenses from that little place.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So you can, like a little golf cart or something, you take that and you go in that.
That makes so much more sense.
Yeah, but who's making these rules and who cares? Because every person who's in charge of the tourism department in every successive government is really not thinking beyond his term.
But you saw the destruction that happened in Rishikesh and everywhere when the floods happened because of so much haphazard construction.
Yeah.
And the permits are being given left, right, and center. I'm not getting into all that now, but I'm saying there is a demand and they know that an unlimited amount of tourists are going to come. They're catering to that tourist. If there is a limit, this is an ecologically fragile zone. We cannot have so many people enter this place or this destination at this point. Then definitely there will be a limit to the number of hotels, rooms, whatever available. But that is a very utopian solution and I don't think that will happen. It's just wishful
someone has
thinking.
to care for something to happen. And don't they realize that they spend so much more in after flood rehabilitation if they were just careful about, putting things in place well before that happens?
Yeah.
It'll be cheaper.
Or, like Bhutan has taxes for visitors. We should implement taxes for going into these places.
Yeah, so, there was a question asked in this documentary I was watching called The Overcrowding of the Planet or something like that. I forget the name. And they said, so who is the person who will take these decisions? Even experts from the field said, we don't know. It's true. like you're saying, they should do this. Who's the person who should do this? Who?
The Tourism Authority of the Government of India.
No, but I think all local tourism comes under local governments, doesn't it?
I'm sure there will be
Let's check.
local government, but there
yeah.
should be a uniform tourism policy for ecologically fragile zones. There should be a list drawn out, I feel, of places that need the tourism but cannot afford this over tourism.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need a certain amount of tourism.
No, of course you do.
For the
But everyone looks at it so differently. I was complaining to my husband, and I said, he wasn't with me on this holiday. I said, they've ruined the planet. These tourists, Landor is no longer like it was when we last visited.
You are also a tourist, no?
So no. He said, damn good. Tourism in India is booming. This shows Indian economy is booming. So
valid point is, as always, like
there's always, I told him, there's always a capitalist in a family and a person who's a holistic, lover of the planet. And in my mind, by the way, whenever I go to these natural habitats, David Attenborough's voice starts playing in my head. Okay, I'm walking around watching birds squawk. Okay, and David Attenborough's playing in my head in that voice of his. Okay,
this is childhood trauma. But we only had Doordarshan and David Attenborough to watch.
No, and David Attenborough. So I know we to use the word trigger. I cannot watch our what is it called? The David Attenborough documentaries that are on Netflix. There's a whole lot of them.
Yeah.
Our Planet. Yeah, I can't watch the series because it actually upsets me. It triggers me. It deeply upsets me to watch this, to see what is happening to the habitat that belongs as much to these other creatures as it does to us. So, now there is, in Dehradun, there's something called Rajaji National Park. And around that were dense forests, which have been systematically hacked, and homes have been built over there. Ugly construction. So those leopards and monkeys are at loose now. Where are they going to go?
Would we be able to forgive them if they were not ugly constructions?
No, even so, no. I'm just saying it's unchecked. It's probably illegal also. And so now these animals are completely at a loose end. And they go and hang out in people's gardens, shake down their mango and lychee trees. My mom's lychee tree, even as it's just got young blossoms on it, gets shaken, and they come and destroy. They will uproot flowers. They will trample upon flower beds. They will enter my house, open the fridge, take away a bag of mangoes and take it so carelessly that they will, everything else as they pull it out of it, everything will fall around it. And this time when I was walking around Landor, I noticed there were fewer monkeys than there used to be, because you couldn't really take a walk in Landor without a walking stick in your hand to drive them away. Okay, because they want food. And they've become very urbanized, as you know. They like our food now. They like our cakes and puffs and pastries. So this time there was a lot of littering on the streets because these tourists are buying some stuff and then maybe a monkey is attacking them, so they're throwing it away and running away. So I bought these handmade, there's one little footpath shop, a very old shop called Sonu Sandals. And Kiran, they make the loveliest handmade sandals. Okay?
Oh, very
all
nice.
leather.
Lovely.
And so I bought a pair of sandals from him. I also feel this is my way of supporting the local economy. And then I was walking down this winding street with my mom, and this monkey comes, and I've got a white bag with me. So they associate apparently white bag with food, because bakeries give those
white bags.
Yeah, biodegradable type. So now there's a tug of war between the monkey and me. So the monkey pulls the bag and then I pull it, yank it back. Had it been food, I would have let it go.
But it was sandals.
Footwear.
What will you do with footwear?
Yeah, right. So then I was like, no, I'm not going to let these go. He's probably going to go and chuck it away somewhere. This tug of war happened, and suddenly the monkey gave up.
Wow.
The monkey just gave up. He was such a mature monkey. He was very like, okay, if you insist.
My God.
You can have your thing.
The monkeys have no persistent. Even the monkeys have become snowflakes now.
Fragile monkeys.
This is terrible. But at least the monkey was just taking your bag. I saw some visuals of a monkey actually taking away a baby who had been put out to get the sun.
Yeah, listen, yes. This is
Which
the
was
thing.
very scary.
So my mum at night, we were staying at this resort It's one of the newer places. There's a 6-bedroom place called Devdar Woods. So we were staying over there, and at night I was sitting in the lounge. So it's like a villa, right? I was sitting in the lounge and working, writing on my laptop. And then my mom suddenly woke up and realized I'm still not in bed. So she came out of the room in search of me, but by then I had made friends with 2 guests.
I
we
thought
were
monkeys. I thought you were going to say monkeys.
It is 12 at night. I'm sitting with the guests outside. Nights in hill stations, even days are very warm now because of heating, but global warming, but the nights are still very pleasant. So my mom came and she didn't see me there. And panicking, I heard her, come to the door of the thing and look for me outside and says, Shunali. And then I said, Mom, I'm here. So later on, she tells me she thought that a leopard had carried me away.
Oh Lord, I thought you would say monkey.
I said, what do you mean? She said, but this happens every other day. She said, panthers and leopards come and take people away. I said, but have you looked at my size?
No, but it's not going to be deterrent for a leopard. You say like 1 week's meal is
taken care of.
Yeah, we're done. We're sorted for a week now.
But see, they're barging into our homes because where do they go?
Where do they go? That's true.
And then they kill and shoot these leopards, panthers, and tigers. But where will they go?
And it's not just, the animals who are being affected. You look at the heritage monuments, any heritage monument. We've had the scribbling, we've had
all the vandalizing that happens,
the graffiti that happens, and the overcrowding. And when I'd been to the Taj Mahal the last time, I really wondered, was it necessary to have so many people allowed to enter it? So, you basically can't even see the ground you're walking on. It's so chock-a-block with people. Yeah. How do you admire the beauty of a monument when there's so many people you have to go through to look at it? So shouldn't there be some sort of a rationing of people who are allowed in a particular day? In an hour, only so many people can enter. Within an hour, only so many people can enter.
Actually, I'm glad you brought up the Taj. I wanted to tell you this. I went there when the Omicron virus was around. And so I was the first person in and I got these amazing pictures. But my tour guide, Nitin, who works as the official tour guide of a lot of ambassadors of other countries who come to India, including presidents and prime ministers, he said the Archaeological Survey of India has a lot of money, okay? Mm-hmm. But the allocation of that money to the repair and upkeep of our heritage sites doesn't really happen. So when he took me around Agra Fort, and I've seen Lahore Fort, which is surprisingly in a much better condition than Agra Fort.
Really?
Yeah. And Agra Fort is beautiful. Okay. So much can be done for its repairs, but he said it's really slow. And somehow in our country, we don't value our heritage.
We don't. We seriously don't. I'd been to Jageshwar, which is this beautiful...
What's that? Where is it?
It's in Uttarakhand. It's a group of around 100 Shiv temples built by the Adi Shankaracharya.
Really?
And it's really old. I don't know the exact
hill
date.
Station?
Yeah, it's Jageshwar. It's pretty cold. I remember because Krish was young and I had not carried warm clothes thinking it's May and I had to put all his clothes one on top of the other because it was so chilly. And then heaven help him if he had to go to the loo. But we went there and these beautiful stone temples and the pandas were running, or the priests or random people running. They had nailed plastic flowers across the entrances.
Oh, no.
Plastic flowers. And this is an Archaeological Society of India knows about this place. There's a placard, there's a inscription up there saying that this place is surveyed and whatever by the Archaeological Society of India. But still the way they were conducting pujas there and whatever, but the upkeep and those plastic flowers nailed to the entrances of each temple that each of these pandas had, that was heartbreaking.
Why do you think they don't care? I want to know. You care for the history, the heritage of this country. You care for tourism. I do. Our producers here do. Our friends do. What happens when people, who are qualified through IAS and other services, civil services, to be in charge of why do they not care enough at policy level? And if policy level they care, why is it not implemented? I want to know.
That is a question that needs to be asked by more determined forces than us. But I think there's a gap between the surveyors and the implementers. And in between this gap, a lot of local issues and local politics gets in the way. That is
I
my
think it's accountability.
Yeah, and there is no outrage.
No,
There is
there's
no
a lot of outrage.
there's
All
no
the locals in all of these places there's activism has picked up. There are local bodies that are actually constantly fighting against tourism and against the desecration of what is home for them, home to them.
But here, I think in this particular case in Jageshwar, it is also a source of income, right? Those families are running on the income provided by the pujas that are happening in the temple. So it's not going to be like something they're going to give up without a
So
fight.
ultimately, there's always some income and there's greed and there's profit. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And that is the nature of.
And that has to be sorted out in some way. There has to be a way for them to make their money without ruining the monuments, right?
You know, if India actually, when you go to Rome or you go to any of these European countries, the bulk of they make so much revenue just from tourism. If Indian Archaeological Survey and Indian government could, ensure that our monuments are well preserved, this could go a long way in earning us revenues. This could be such a good and you can charge the foreign, in all countries, foreign tourists pay more. We also charge
Including
more,
here.
but it's a very nominal thing. You can charge a little more if you want to. But I'm saying that just because we have so much heritage doesn't mean that we take it for granted and let it crumble to pieces.
Absolutely. But what is happening at places like Machu Picchu also?
Over-tourism.
Over-tourism. It's being eroded. There's visible signs of erosion on an antique.
So sad.
People are going there by the droves. People you never expect. Like I picked up conversation with, I forget who, somebody in my travels. Very sedate elderly Gujarati lady. She just very happily told me all of them, a big group of them went to Machu Picchu.
Mm-hmm.
It is something that you least expect that, this.
No, yeah.
Yeah. I would think they would go to maybe Singapore or whatever.
No, now people have.
Like Machu Picchu and all that. And that's what's happening. Exotic destinations, which you thought were in the back of the beyond for us in travel time. But people are going there and ruining it.
You know what Rumi said? Tell no one. In fact, I'm going to read that quote out 1 second.
Love and tell no one.
Wait.
Yeah, I know that one. People ruin good things.
Yeah, people ruin good things. I'm going to read that out 1 second.
Live and tell no one. Love and tell no one.
Here it is. So Rumi, this is Khalil Gibran or Rumi?
Rumi, I
Khalil
thought.
Gibran, no.
Khalil Gibran.
So this quote by Khalil Gibran: travel and tell no one. Live a true love story and tell no one. Live happily and tell no one. People ruin beautiful things. We are also those people.
I'm going to tell no one now. What will happen to my Instagram handle if I tell no one?
No, I've decided to, now I'll post about places, but not write what they are. I mean, obviously, it won't be the Eiffel Tower and people will say, oh, ho, ho. They'll be less, off the beaten path places. That's it. I love taking pictures. And I'm a compulsive poster.
Yeah, and you take good pictures, so you should.
So I'll just do that. And then, yes, if I do write about a place, I'll write about my honest experience there. Instead of, just making it look like a picture postcard perfect place. And, only point at all the lovely highlights of that place rather than...
So you'll be a de-influencer, travel de-influencer.
Yeah, travel de-influencer. That's what we need to become. Yeah.
I will go post. I will go post on secret accounts.